Hello everyone and welcome to the Wedding Circle podcast. Now this episode is a little different in that you may notice I no longer have my lovely co-host April. So after lots of talking and decision making, April is taking a step back from hosting the podcast with me as her own business, the Confectionery Lounge, is really taking off and she needs to spend more time focusing on that. So I just want to take this opportunity to wish you every success, April. I have loved hosting these last episodes with you. And when you do have a moment, you must come back on as a guest. Now on to today's conversation. So for all the listeners out there, I really think you're going to come away from this one not only filled with knowledge about my guest's area of the wedding industry, but also so many other little golden nuggets of advice. We cover so much ground in this episode, so sit tight, grab a coffee and enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 7 of the Wedding Circle podcast. So this week, in this episode, I'm bringing you an absolute powerhouse in the world of wedding photography. A husband and wife team that I've worked with many times, and I am very proud to call them not just my colleagues but also my friends. We're friends, right guys?
Absolutely.
So we have Richard and Christine, otherwise known as in the wedding world as Kazooieloki. So hi guys, welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining me. And I just wanted to start by just explain to me your name, because I imagine lots of people say, where did you get that name from? You know, it's obviously super unusual.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
It's one of the first questions everybody asks, really. And, it's also, I like it that nobody can ever pronounce it. I mean, I've worked with people in the wedding industry for years who still can't say it properly, and it just makes me laugh. So it's fun. It'd be a bit boring if we were called Richard and Christine Photography, so it's not really, it's just ridiculous like us. We've got 2 huskies, one called Kazooie and one called Loki. We're named after our dogs. Kazooie was named after Kazooie from the banjo and Kazooie game, and Loki is named after Loki from the Norse god of lunacy, because she's stupid.
She's a bit crazy.
Oh, that's amazing.
She's actually laid here. Loki's actually laid here with us tonight. So.
Yeah, she's in the room.
Oh, is she? Oh, hi Loki. So nobody else is going to have that name, are they? So it's pretty safe.
Yeah.
That one.
It was easy to find the domain name for.
Yeah.
99p domain name.
Yeah.
So how did you guys get into photography then? Did it start off with wedding photography, or have you come from other areas of the business? Because obviously there's, lots of different types of photography. So how did you get into it?
Well, I actually have a degree in graphic design. I was a graphic designer for a number of years, but I've been a photographer for about 15 years now. I worked for somebody else. I did commercial photography, and then we sort of stumbled it. People started asking us to do weddings, and we started doing weddings in 2012.
Okay.
And it just sort of went from there, and then we just went full-time weddings doing nothing else for sort of about 7 years ago, didn't we?
Absolutely, yeah. It just seems to take off. I started in film originally, and creates as well, and like the developing side and that, which I absolutely loved. And I just love photographing people. I love interactions and just all of those fun things that happen, and it's just waiting for those moments. I just love it. I love all that. So.
And you always do seem to catch them. I mean, I've seen quite a few of your galleries now of full weddings, and you always have some in there that are like silly shots of. Yeah. I mean, I saw one the other day of a was it the groom being thrown in the air?
Yeah.
Just like, did you plan that, or did it just happen? And you're like,
it happens. We live for moments like that. It's very easy to stand people in a line and photograph them, isn't it? But to actually take time to watch people is what we do. You know, we're actually watching for real moments that happen rather than pose photography.
Yeah, and putting some creativity towards it. You know,
Absolutely.
rather than just stand there. It's like, I do feel that, you know, it's all good and well having a wonderful camera and, you know, all the kit and everything, but if you've not got that creative flair, then, you know, I mean, and you guys obviously have. So
it's about heart and emotion. You know, it's about telling the story of a wedding day from start to finish. all the highs, the lows, people crying, people laughing, people getting drunk, and they're the real moments. It's as soon as you stage something, that moment hasn't happened. You've made it happen, but we photograph the moments that have actually happened in real time. You see, so it's just kind of from the morning until the night. It's just a story of your wedding day in pictures.
Yeah. So was it that sort of really you fell in love with wedding photography? Because obviously, like you say, you started off in commercial photography, was it?
Yeah, commercial.
Yeah, and you don't get any of that, do you, with commercial photography?
We still do quite a bit of commercial photography. We just don't advertise the fact. We have quite a few large commercial clients, but the main thing that we love doing is wedding photography. So
we don't like anything sort of staged
and
precise. And I think when you're working with people on a wedding day, you don't know who you're going to come across, who you're going to meet, and I think you just got to think on your feet a little bit and just watch for those like moments and situations and react to them. And every day is so different.
That's the point. Every day is different.
Everybody's so different, and it's never the same. It's always a new moment. And that wedding photography, I think, can be sort of stuck in the dark ages a little bit. And going with that sort of attitude of, we'll have the bride and the groom and the parents and the lineup and such. But nobody really wants that anymore. They want to see their friends and their families and the interactions and the whole craziness of it and emotions, I think. And if you can sort of capture that with people, I think you're just onto a winner, really. I think
absolutely,
making people feel relaxed and letting them be who they want to be is
the one big point that people, apart from the standard of photography, the one big point that people always say to us when we photographed them is they've always felt relaxed in our company, and we're both just that way as people, aren't we? There's nothing staged. We're both very real people. We want our photography to come across the same way, to be real.
Yeah, definitely. Rather than having them all sort of stood in a line, smiles plastered across their faces for half an hour,
When we started this, there was one big thing that we said, didn't we? And I never wanted to be a venue photographer that turned up at the same venue week in, week out where it was a job and just stood a bride and groom in the same place, but differently each week. And it's just not us. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that style. It's just not our style, and we just stay well clear of it.
Yeah, definitely. You can see that, if you go onto your Instagram or your website, it's quite obvious that, you definitely aren't just your typical sort of, like you said, venue photographer. And if you do go back to venues time and time again, I guess you find new angles, new places. I mean, every couple's different, so you're going to get a whole new gallery, aren't you?
Of course, and at different times of year, every wedding's different because the light's different on every day, so you can take somebody somewhere different. The seasons are different, so you've got different colours from the fresh sort of greens of spring right through to the autumn oranges and browns. You get something different every time. Saying that, we do try. We're in a fortunate position to be able to choose what weddings we photograph and what we don't. And we try not to. Hairspire in Elsham are the ones we photograph the most. But we still try and not go there more than sort of 4 or 5 times a year because we like to stay fresh and travel about and meet different people, shoot in different venues each week. It just keeps you fresh, and it becomes not like a conveyor belt of just doing the same thing week in, week out.
Yeah, definitely. So do you guys travel up and down the country then?
And Europe, yeah.
And Europe.
We've done weddings all over England, Scotland. It's really bizarre. We get an enormous amount of bookings in, I think it's probably due to price, but we get an enormous amount of bookings in London. We get an enormous amount of bookings in Essex, and we get loads around the Harrogate Leeds way as well.
I see.
We tend to get a real lot of weddings in London. I mean, we photographed Westminster Abbey last year wedding.
Wow.
We've done a lot in Buckinghamshire, didn't we, last year?
Oh, nice.
We've been in Spain, Crete.
Yeah, so nice to sort of get about and see all the different places. So how many weddings do you take a year? Do you cap it, or is it just as many as you can fit in?
We usually cap it. We were trying to, but this year's changed it. We were trying to cap it less next year.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, I actually looked at this the other week, we shot 63 and 62 weddings.
Wow.
We were trying to do somewhere between 45 and 50 next year.
Yeah.
But due to the pandemic, and we have to move. So far, we've moved 42 weddings over. We're currently around about 80 weddings next year.
Oh, you're going to be busy.
Yeah,
It's going to be really...
Oh, goodness me. You're not going to know, honestly, what day of the week it is.
We'll be really busy next
That'll be
year.
all right. We'll love it.
You know what? I said exactly the same, though. This year, you know, I had so many weddings booked in, and I remember saying to my husband, right, next year I'm going to cap it. I don't want to take any more than 45. It's just, you know, I've got children and other things. It's just crazy busy. And then, like you said, the pandemic happened, and I've had to move all my weddings, like you have, to next year, and it's just next year is looking ridiculous.
It's nobody's fault, though, is it? So
no, you just got to go with it. And obviously, I would never want to turn anybody down. So, you know, more than happy to move everybody as best I can. It's just, it's going to be a busy year.
It is.
We've been really lucky with it. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that have really struggled. We haven't. We take an enormous amount of time before the wedding, meeting our couples, because of the style we shoot being so laid back and natural. We take time to get to know our couples before the wedding day.
Okay.
It really has helped us in this. Or something so unforeseen as this.
Yeah.
It really has helped us, because I think they feel like we're the friends as much as anything as well. So they've been really, really, really accommodating.
Yeah.
The big reason we try to make so much time to get to know them as well is, say, because the style we shoot. If they are comfortable with us, they're more comfortable with us when we're photographing them as well. So it just helps that way. But again, during the current situation in the world, they've really been lovely, haven't they?
Yeah, we have been very lucky, and so we're very close to a lot of our couples as well. And we took a decision to actually contact all our couples and do a bit of face-to-face talking, or obviously doing Skype calls or things like that, just to reassure them that when they move the wedding, and that we'll be there, and it will be amazing, and it's not like a cancellation, it's just a bit of a postponement, and they'll get what they want in the end, and they're not alone with it. Everybody's in the same boat with it at the moment. So I think you just got to reassure people that you're allowed to still be excited about it, and not feel so disheartened, and about your wonderful day not about to go ahead.
Yeah.
So, and I have told people, so you are allowed to be excited. And I know it's a terrible time, but it's something that people spend 2 years planning.
Yeah.
And they've still got to have that buzz and excitement about things, and
and more than likely they're going to have everything already booked and planned, so they can kick back for a year and not stress about it.
We photographed a couple at Elsham Hall on Saturday. It was actually their wedding day on Saturday. They decided they wanted to do an engagement shoot, so we did an engagement shoot at Elsham where they were going to get married.
Yeah.
Which was quite emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, they booked us in 2017.
Yeah.
Wow. Wedding day last Saturday. We met them for engagement shoot, and now they're getting married next June, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So do you offer engagement shoots as standard? Is that something that's part of your packages, or is it an extra that you sort of recommend?
No, it's an extra. Yeah. We don't charge what we should do for engagement shoots, because I want to encourage people to do it, because it's obviously, if we photograph somebody before the wedding, it's another way of ensuring that they're more comfortable with us. It just helps greatly, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's more so than the photography. It's about just hanging out with a couple and that, and having a bit of fun with them, having a giggle, and sort of relaxing them a little bit, because a lot of people are really nervous when you're like, oh my god, what do I do? And it's not as scary as people think. So they're sort of used to it, and I think they just feel like, oh, it's me, Richard and Christine.
Yeah.
Let's the fun begin, and we just go from there, really.
Oh, it's just these two, just turning up, my friends. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. It's the same for me for my business, and I've got friends obviously in the industry as well, and we all say the same. It's, you have to feel as though you're friends with your suppliers. I really believe that that's what makes such a lovely day, and you can trust everybody. Kind of what they're about, and that's really great.
That's real though. You can't force friendships. I mean, you've become our friend. I mean, we're fabulous friends with Stefan from Lincoln's Videography. I mean, we spend a lot of time with him out of work as well. And our youngest Isaac is friends with his little lad Archie, isn't he? You build friendships, and it creates a trust, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think in this industry you've got to work that way. I think because it's such a personal experience on a wedding day, and you're capturing moments from the very moment of the beginning of the day to, you know, getting in the dress, or the emotions of the speeches and the nerves walking down the aisle. I think, you know, you've got to have that rapport with people, haven't you? And be in that moment with them as well. And, you know, that we always get that, I'm so nervous before the ceremony and things like that. And I think every bride feels that way. And it's quite lovely. And so I think also experience that. So
it's an honour.
And do you maintain friendships after the wedding as well? I imagine people want to keep in touch. Yeah.
We've been out for meals with many of our couples afterwards, haven't we?
Definitely.
We had one of the weddings we did at Hurstbury last year. They brought us round a dream catcher which they'd used in their in the woodland area where the wedding was. They brought us around the dream catcher and they had a beer in our garden. And then we went out for a Thai meal with them.
Now they've had
that's great.
Like wonderful. So and it's always lovely to see how people's lives sort of carry on afterwards.
If you invest time in people, you know that you can't not stay friends with them. The way we run our business and we are as people, you can't not. It's something you're doing for them it's going to stand the test of time, you know. And long after we've packed it in, our photographs will still be there and the memories will still be there. So we always keep in touch with people, don't we?
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel the same. You know, they tell me the reason why they've chosen a particular song that I'm going to sing for them as they walk down the aisle, and it's like, gosh, that's so emotional. You know, like I'm trying to hold it together while I'm singing, and then I'm like watching. It's like watching friends walking down the aisle, and then after the wedding, it's like, gosh, are we going to see each other again? You know, like let's keep in touch if we can. And I think that's such an important part of weddings. So sort of looking at a typical wedding day then for you guys, I mean, I've spoken to a couple of other suppliers on the podcast about how it works and their take on it, but you're there for the entire day. So how does it work for you? Do you get there at what time in the morning do you arrive, and how late do you stay till?
This is where it works very differently from us to other photographers probably. We if it say a standard wedding day, you would normally expect the ceremony to be about 1:00. So we would turn up somewhere around about 9:30, 10:00, depending on what time hair and makeup started, maybe a little earlier. And from that point, all we need to know is what time the wedding ceremony is. We'll turn up 3 hours before, and until after the first dance and the dancing goes on. Whatever happens in between, we have no plan. There is no plan whatsoever. Because every wedding day that is different. So we've always found when we first started out, we tried to plan things a little bit, and we just found it didn't work for us, and it didn't fit in with our style. So from when we turn up in the morning to when we go home on the night, whatever just happens, we photograph it, and we never force it. So there is no plan. The only thing we need to know is what time speeches are, what time the ceremony is, what time people are eating, and what time first dance is. So we need to be in a certain place at a certain time. Apart from that, there's no formality to anything apart from confetti and group shots.
Yeah, I mean, we worked at a wedding together, and it was September, I believe, and the sun was setting, and it was like, this you have to catch the light as and when it's there. So I can see why you don't want to just stick to planning, because ultimately you're planning for failure.
I was just going to make that same point as well. If you plan something, you're setting something up to fail, and people have got enough pressure on the wedding day as it is without saying, right, you have to be doing this, that, and the other. I've worked with videographers many times in the past who saying, right, this is going to be, we want to do this in 9 minutes and 34 seconds, and it is. You just want to let their day flow. It's not about us, it's about the bride and groom, and they have got to enjoy themselves. They don't want to be spending 2 hours away with us taking photographs. They want to be with the friends, having a drink and having a great time. So you can't put too much pressure on that. We do take couples away for couples shots on a wedding day, but we never spend more than about 20 minutes doing it, 20 minutes, half an hour at tops. It's just, they don't want to be spending the wedding day walking around the field with us. It's just not about that.
No.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if you guys sort of, they can trust in that, that you're going to take them away for 20 minutes, catch the photos that they are going to absolutely love at the end of the day, and then they're back in with all their friends and family, then that's going to put them at ease, and let's just enjoy the rest of the day, or, the whole day.
It's about having confidence in what you do, and knowing your job. It doesn't matter if it's sunny or if it's raining, if it's windy, if it's snowing, if it's dark, if it's light. If I've got a camera in my hand, I know how to photograph it. So you don't need to put any pressure on anything. All I need is 20 seconds notice, and we're there.
Yeah. So what's your kit then? How many cameras do you take? And I know there's obviously the both of you are there shooting at the same time. Different areas of the wedding and things. But what's your actual kit?
Yeah, we shoot Nikon D850, and we have 2 cameras each, and we also have a backup each in case one of those goes wrong. So we have 6 cameras on a wedding day with us.
Wow.
Which sounds pretty heavy,
doesn't it? Two of them stay in the bag in case something goes wrong, but we don't have to get them out. It's just there in case something goes wrong. But that's
so nothing sort of like intrusive. There's no big setup, I've been to a couple of events where the photographers had big lighting, I don't know what they're called, light boxes.
Yeah, that's not happening. No, we work with natural light. The only time we need any off-camera light is during first dance if it's dark.
Yeah. So everything's pretty understated. It's just you guys and your cameras.
I'd never ever use lights or flash during the day. We work with natural light always. That's not even 99.99% of the time. It's 100% of the time we work with natural light.
Yeah. And how do you feel about other people bringing cameras or using phones to take pictures at certain points of the day? What's your sort of...
It's fantastic throughout the day. We don't mind a good selfie, this, that and the other, but there's 2 points which I always ask. I always speak to the bride and groom before the wedding day and tell them it's not that we don't like it, we don't allow it. When the bride is walking down the aisle, there is no cameras. When the bride and groom walk back out the aisle after they've got married, there is no cameras again, because people hang out in the aisle and it just spoils a photograph when you see a load of cameras, when they're walking out. And the same with if we're doing a confetti walkthrough, if everybody's stood hanging out with the cameras, it just spoils a photograph. But apart from that, people can bring cameras and do whatever they like.
Yeah. And for things like the confetti shot, how do you find it sort of getting an entire wedding party to do as you sort of move into the same area and make sure everybody's...
I've got a loud voice.
It's always such fun. It is, but it's you do it. I mean, obviously everybody's so full of excitement, and straight after the ceremony, we tend to do a confetti then, because everybody's on such a high and congratulating everybody and that, and we kind of let it flow. If they want to walk through, we like to group their friends and family round and get them to walk through, and you're trying to keep that moment going as well, so you work quite quickly and sort of encouraging guests to sort of line up and then get the couple to walk through as well.
Just to elaborate on what Christine was saying there, we're talking about no formality during the wedding day, but the one bit we do try and always encourage is straight after the ceremony. When the bride and groom come outside, we will always try, if possible, do confetti then. Not for any other reason, that just everybody's in one place.
It makes sense, rather than leaving it till an hour later and people are at the bar or somebody's in the toilet.
It's the same with group photos. We always try and do the confetti and then group photos, and then we don't need to ask anybody for anything for the rest of the day, because, as you say, somebody will go for a wander around the grounds, somebody will be in the loo, somebody will check into the room, somebody will be at the bar or whatever. So you've got a right job on getting everybody out for group photos after that. But
I bet. I feel the same if brides and grooms ask me about speeches, if they say, what do you recommend speeches before or after a meal? And I mean, there's pros and cons to either, but I generally suggest before, because everybody's seated, you've got everybody's attention, they're all sat there waiting because they want their food, so your speeches you can go ahead with everybody there, whereas if you wait till afterwards, people do get up and move about.
We prefer them before as well, 100% before, because obviously on a wedding there's 2 reasons for this. One of them's very selfish. It's if we obviously have to eat on a wedding day, and if the speeches are afterwards, you're always in a real rush to get your food down you, to make sure that you're back in the room when the speeches are done. So it's much more relaxed if they do it first. But also, if they do it first, I tend to think you get a lot of nervous speakers. I'm not obviously one of those, but you get a lot of nervous speakers, and if they're going to be like talking after the meal, then it gives them time to get 5 or 6 pints down the neck, and it can ruin their food. So if they get it out of the way, then they enjoy the meal, I always find.
Yeah, they do. It's all those little formalities, I think. People do worry about them.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And trying to relax people, it is difficult. So I always think, well, if you do it and get it out of the way, then enjoy your meal.
We had a wedding at a place called Deepdale Farm We do a lot of weddings there, actually. It used to be a cow shed. It's fabulous. It's a wonderful boho venue. It's in a place called Kelthome, near Rosedale Abbey, just north of York. And basically, they converted 2 cow sheds into a wedding venue, and they have all hay bales for seats and stuff. It's fabulous. Wow. But last year we had a wedding, one of our weddings there, and the groom's brother was the best man. And he was so nervous, and they did the speeches afterwards. Right. He wasn't a drinker, but he just drank and drank and drank to try and calm his nerves during the wedding breakfast. And then when he stood up to do his speech afterwards, he couldn't talk. And there was a band set up behind, directly behind where the top table was sat, and he just collapsed backwards, fell through the drum kit, and just absolutely collapsed on the floor.
Oh my goodness! Did you catch that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's the best ever. It was fabulous for us, but not for the bride and groom. But yeah, that's the best ever example where to do his speeches before.
Oh goodness me! I bet you do catch some funny photographs. You know, people pulling funny faces, or I don't know, doing things they shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's not so bad for the groom or for the dads. It's. The best man he's got to stand up and be like some fabulous stand-up comedian, hasn't he? Without going too far at the groom. But
that's true. Yeah. I've seen some absolutely brilliant best man speeches that have been hilarious, but then I've seen some that I just think, oh my gosh, should you be saying that? Yeah. You know what? If people say to me, or if the groom or whoever best man says to me, oh no, I'm not planning my speech, I'm not going to write it, or I'm just going to wing it on the day, I always say, no, just give yourself something to cast your eyes over whilst you stood up there, because the stage fright, it'll hit you and you'll just say anything.
That's great ones that we've had people get up with guitars and sing them.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It was. And we had then the girls. I was like, if the girls get up and do something as well. We had a girl and she sung something as well, and it was
she sang the speech, didn't she?
It was fantastic, and she was so nervous, and she just delivered it amazingly. And everybody was up clapping and cheering.
Still my favourite one. I've seen it done twice now, but the first time I saw it was amazing. There was it was actually at Cave Castle near Hull in South Cave. After when was it the dad or the best man? No, it was dad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the dad.
No, it was best man. Sorry, the best man had just finished his speech. And when he finished his speech, he said to the bride, "Right, you can have your back door key back now." And everybody burst into tears. And then
everybody got up, didn't they?
Yeah, the groom's dad stood up and said, "Oh, you can have your key back now." And there must have been about 20 guys in the audience saying, "Right, you can have your key back now." And they all brought the key back to the bride. It was really funny. She was in stitches, wasn't she?
It was really good.
Quite creative as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's really good. So obviously, people are obviously going to prep things like that. But is there anything else that you would recommend brides and grooms prep before the day? I spoke to Stefan about this when we did the podcast, the videography one. Talking about things like smoke bombs. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Flair things.
Yeah.
Sparklers, anything like that. Do you ask couples to prep that, or is it just bring whatever you want and we'll make it work?
They come to us. They always ask us first. It is always prepped beforehand, but. We don't ask anybody to do sparklers or smoke bombs. It's just something that we're quite good at photographing, so a lot of couples ask us, but we don't ask anybody to do anything. We just ask them to be themselves, basically.
Yeah. And in terms of prep, in any other areas, other than having chats with you guys and getting to know you, is there anything else that you'd recommend, or is it just, look, we'll see you on the day and that's that?
There's one thing that I always, if we're having like a little bit of a meeting with our bride and groom, I always tell them to hang out with each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And just spend a little bit of time together, because you are torn in like so many different ways on your wedding day with all your guests and things, and I think for your natural shots as well, and everybody loves these natural shots. I think if you hang out with each other a little bit on your day and just walk around greeting your guests together and things like that, you also, it helps with the nerves as well, I think.
That's such a lovely piece of advice. I've never thought of ever suggesting that.
You see so many. It's one of the things which remind people of in the last meeting we have with them before the wedding, because you often see bride and groom like they're together in the wedding ceremony, then they don't see each other again because he's gone off with the mates, and they don't see each other again until they sit down for the wedding breakfast, and then again after that they don't see each other till first dance. So passes, I mean, we're married ourselves. It passes it passes so quickly.
Yeah.
We always say just spend a bit of time with each other.
Yeah.
You know, or you won't remember it you'll remember it as getting drunk with your friends rather than being with the girl you've just married because you love. You know, and that's what a wedding day is all about. It's about loving somebody and wanting to spend the rest of life with them. And
absolutely, and so easy to do if you've got 100 guests, 120 guests. Oh gosh, going around and saying hello to everybody. If you've got a smaller wedding, I imagine it's easier. But that's such a good piece of advice. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, the only piece of advice I give on every wedding morning is I ask the same thing of the bride every single wedding without question, don't I?
Yeah.
Because of the way we shoot, when a bride's walking down the aisle, I always stand at the front behind either the vicar or the registrar, and Christine stands at the back. So I'm looking for the bride's reaction as she walks down the aisle, and Christine's looking for the groom's. So we capture it from both sides. I always say to the bride, just look for your groom, or look for me and I'll wave at you, because basically it's when you get to the back of the aisle and you're going to walk down in front of 100 people, the first, because it's so nerve-wracking, your first reaction is basically just to look down at your feet.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah, so look up.
Yeah, look up. Just basically look for your husband to be. If you burst into tears, so be it. It creates wonderful.
So that's it. One piece of advice I always give, because I'm often there during the ceremony as well, sort of, singing or playing the violin for them as they walk down the aisle. And I always say to the groom, make sure you turn and watch her come in, because I really think if you don't, you're going to miss such an incredible moment. And she's going to arrive next to you and you're going to glance over and go, hi, and then you're going to look back to the front again, and you're going to lose that special moment. And that's the moment, isn't it, when they walk in and you see them.
Yeah, I give the groom a nod, don't I?
Yeah, and
when she gets to the back of the church or the venue, I always give him a nod and say, look, she's about to come, and then he turns around. So.
Yeah, and make sure the groom stood up, not sat down.
I had one groom and I was towards the front, and he said to me, am I allowed to turn around? I went, of course you are. I said, you can turn around and see it come down as well.
Oh.
And he was quite, because I think a lot of grooms don't realise, because the nerves kick in and they don't know whether they're allowed to turn around or if they've got, especially if it's in a church as well.
Yes, yeah.
They're worried about looking around as well. So
yeah, definitely. It's that all eyes on you moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
it definitely is. Yeah. I mean, like I said a moment ago, I've been to a wedding before where the groom was still sat down on the side, and I'm like wanting to prod him with my violin bow, like, please stand up. And I thought, why is the photographer not saying she's coming in? Stand up. Yeah. He didn't, which was crazy. Okay, then. So sort of onto a bit more like, I don't know if there's maybe boring stuff, but I do feel like people want to know, what is your backup process? Because, and I mean, I know of one wedding which is absolutely horrendous, where the photographer did unfortunately lose the photos, which is not ideal, and I can't imagine that's ever happened to you guys. But how can you offer brides and grooms some sort of security that that's not going to happen?
I can offer them absolute security. Yeah, we shoot we shoot very expensive cameras. They have dual card slots. So basically, there's a XQD card and a superfast SD card in each camera.
Okay.
Basically, as soon as it registers a shot on the camera, it puts it on the first card and then copies it to the second.
Okay, yeah.
So every shot we take 2 shots.
Yeah.
So there is a backup.
Yeah.
Every single shot we take is getting backed up as we take it.
Yeah.
And we always back up straight after anyway, don't we? Yeah. We back up off-site and we back up at home as well.
Yeah, and do you back up to, have you got hard drive, you've got cloud service, how does that work?
That's what I mean, the off-site, that's the cloud, we back up cloud, back up at home, yeah.
Oh, I see, okay, I understand. Yeah, so that's really good. And then the other thing I sort of wanted to touch on was offering, well, firstly, how long does it take for you to fully edit the wedding? Do you offer a sort of little glimpse of highlights maybe a couple of weeks after, or is it like a full gallery and it takes you 10, 12 weeks? How does that work?
No. There's not many of us left, but we're obviously being full-time professional wedding photographers. We don't do anything else. I say we do a little bit of commercial work, but we don't. These days, the vast majority of wedding photographers do 9 to 5 jobs during the week.
Okay.
We don't. Most of them do jobs during the week and then photograph weddings on a weekend, which is why they can't devote as much time, and why usually I find that people take 2 or 3 months to get the wedding photographs back.
That's so interesting. Like, I mean, you see wedding photographers and you assume that that's their full-time career, and they dedicate everything to that. And then, no, of course, that's going to play a huge part.
We're up against people who charge £300-400 for a wedding, which we don't.
Yeah.
You would have to be shooting 200 weddings a year to make a living.
That's crazy.
So they obviously do another job. We don't. So basically, if we had a wedding on a Saturday and we didn't have a one on the Sunday, there would be preview up on the Sunday. If we had a wedding Saturday and Sunday, there would be a preview up from the Saturday one on the Monday and the Sunday one on the Tuesday.
That's brilliant. That's so great.
Without fail. What we aim for every single time, it won't be the case in 2021 because we have that many weddings, but we've always managed it so far. If a couple goes on a honeymoon straight after their wedding for a week or 2 weeks, their gallery is always ready when they come back.
That's so great because people want to see them straight away, don't they?
It's still exciting, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the best part.
Being full time, we can devote more time to that. So when we're not photographing weddings, I'm editing.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, I like that. And do you offer out, sort of a coffee table books and prints and things, or is it just?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, they're all extras, but yeah.
And how much uptake do you get on those products?
Albums, we live in a digital era, don't we? So
yeah.
There's albums. I would say probably a third of our couples get an album.
That's still quite high, actually. That's higher than I thought.
Yeah.
People take in actual physical prints or, like you say, albums of their things because, like you said, we do live in a digical world, and you just look at it on Instagram now, don't you?
We offer a high end service, don't we? And I think the couples that book us are looking for that. Sort of high-end experience. So they get the gallery. We also give back, included in the price, to get it's like a little wooden USB slide box, which has also 6 prints in it with the USB. That goes out. It's a lovely gift.
Yeah.
But they also get a copy of that on an online gallery, which is obviously password protected as well.
Yeah.
But the albums are separate. That's an extra if they want an album.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There is a majority of couples do love the albums, and obviously weddings are an expensive time, and sometimes it's quite a nice idea, if guests or family gift it or anything like that, they can do it that way, for an album. Usually you get a lot of parents sort of asking for albums and things like that, because the majority of people live together now, and, they're not saving for their first home or such as that. So it's all sort of moved forward a little bit, and there's not a lot of things people need for their own homes and how it traditionally.
Yeah, it's the traditional sort of wedding list, gift list, where you'd have cutlery and napkins and things like that.
We don't do many weddings for young couples, do we? I would say the average age of our brides are probably, I would guess, somewhere between 28 and 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People they wait, don't they? And usually they know what they want, and usually around, if you booked about 2 years in advance, I think people spent a long time saving, and they want those things at their wedding. It's to have the music there, and to have the flowers just so, and have the photography you want, and have the dream venue, and all of these lovely extra things that you can have at your wedding day. Now, people really want that. It's so different.
It's been wonderful the last couple of years. I mean, I would hazard a guess somewhere between 12 and 15, maybe a little bit more, wedding our brides and grooms actually come to us, say, we've followed your work for so long, we're getting married. Can you give me your availability? We want to go to get married at X venue or Y venue, and we will book our wedding date around your availability. Don't we? We've got quite a lot now.
Wonderful, and you want the couples that have followed your work and know how you work, and it's always lovely, that, isn't it? And they took the time to look through your work and the galleries that we have online. And we always tell people, wherever they book, always really look through the galleries and have a good look through everything, not just the epic shots that go on, and have a really good look through all of them. And
that's a great piece of advice as well, and that people are booking around you speaks absolute volumes about your work, the sort of people that you are, the sort of people you are to work with. I just think that's so great that people are booking their wedding days around your availability.
Massive honour.
It's after your wedding day is finished, the only thing you've got apart from the memories in your head, your photography is what you've got to look back on. It's what carries your memories through for the years, and the way, because we shoot documentary, and if we give round about 1,000 images back to our couples, and they've not seen 500 or 600 of them taken, it extends the memories further, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We had when we got married, we had quite a small wedding, but we waited, we'd been together 10 years, and then we'd had, got our house, had the children, and then it's like, right, well, we can afford to get married now and do it how we want to. But I don't know why we didn't, but we only had the photographer until it was just before we ate the meal, and then they went home. I just sort of thought, well, it's pretty chilled. There's only 30 of us, and there's nothing special going on in the evening. But actually, it's those evening moments. We're sat around the fire pit eating marshmallows.
Of course.
Oh, I really wish we'd had someone there capturing those moments, because, like you say, I've probably forgotten most of it.
Yeah,
you do it.
Just get divorced and get married again, and we'll do it for you. We'll do it as a wedding present.
And book you guys.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I'll do it for you as a wedding present.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah, it definitely is one of my. Not that I regret anything about the wedding. It was amazing and it was wonderful, but I just wish we'd kept the photographers there. Right to the last moment, because we look back on all of those memories. Because your photos are the things that last, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're pulling your photos out and viewing your photos in 10 years' time, and you still get those memories, and you're still as excited then at looking at them again, and then that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when anybody's looking to book a wedding photographer, what would you recommend? I mean, like I know you said look at the style of photography, because your documentary, there might be somebody that does a completely different style. So try and go for style. But is there anything else that you would recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you meet them first.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to spend, we always meet our couples, you're going to spend 10, 12 hours with them. You've got to get on, haven't you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. You've got to get on. I mean, we because we're daft, we get on with everybody, but it's just, you've just got to get on with people, haven't you?
You've got to have that confidence and feel reassured with the person that's going to be spending the most important day of your life with you, and not feel any pressure at all. We always say to people, if whether they book us or not, we do have people that we recommend, and I think that's as important as well. If we have free on that date, we always like to recommend photographers who are wonderful too.
Yeah, we have some very good friends in photography, which is we're not the only good wedding photographers about. There's many. And obviously we can't do every wedding because we're always booked up, and we have a backup of people we send weddings to. Competition's a good thing, If there's
absolutely,
there's other good photographers about, it should make you shouldn't run away from that. It should make you raise your game and want to be the absolute best that you can possibly be always, which is just it's fabulous. We're friends with some brilliant photographers, aren't we? We send weddings to all the time.
Yeah.
And do you guys always work together, or do you do separate weddings, or do you bring second shooters? Is it just you? Is it just you two team?
It's us two. I have a backup again. If one of us is poorly, we'll always shoot with two, unless it's maybe a small weekday wedding. We occasionally do with one of us, but it's 99 times out of 100 it's two, and on the occasion it's only ever happened a couple of times where one of us has been poorly in 8 years, isn't it? Where I always have a backup of somebody to come with us, you see. So there's always two of us.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I guess you guys know how each other works, and you kind of it's just second nature to you now.
Yeah,
I imagine. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything to do with wedding photography. Is there anything else you think I might have missed, or you wanted to mention? Is there anything that you've got coming up that you wanted to talk about? It's difficult with the pandemic, isn't it?
We've conducted this interview in the second half of Manchester United versus Sheffield United, which I'm not overly happy about, but we're okay. But apart from that, we're all good.
Right, see you later then.
I was more than happy to not watch it.
No, we absolutely love what we do, don't we?
Yeah. We can't wait to get
I couldn't imagine
again.
doing anything else. It's can't wait to get going again. We've got another engagement shoot on Sunday. We've got one next Thursday. We can obviously, with the current guidelines from the government, we can do that quite safely, shooting with long lenses where we don't have to be near anybody, and it's great to be out picking up a camera again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet you can't wait to sort of get back to it properly.
No.
Yeah, very, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, and like you say, taking time out of your evening. I'm sorry, I didn't realise it was a football match.
You're okay.
I feel awful.
It's all right. I'll watch it on catch up. Christine's got that to look forward to.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, goodness me. So, if anybody wants to find you, then where can they find you? So, I'm guessing Instagram, website. If you could just tell me your Instagram handle, your website address.
Yeah, Kazooieloki_photography on Instagram. Facebook, just Kazooieloki, and our website is www.kazooieloki.co.uk. Vast majority, if anybody ever comes through Instagram or Facebook, which is rare, we always send them through, ask them to go through the website anyway. So I like to do it all officially. Our SEO is so good. We rank one on everything, don't we? So all our business comes through a website anyway.
Yeah. Best founders. I think so.
It is,
yeah.
Just Google that ridiculous photographer named after 2 dogs and you'll find us.
Oh gosh. Right, well, thank you so much for guys for coming on. Like I said, I do really appreciate you taking time out of the evening. I feel like we have covered so much. People are going to be filled with so much information from this podcast. So I can't wait to get it all edited and get it out. So yeah, thank you so much for coming.
No worries, guys.
Thank you. Lovely talking to you.
See you soon.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
I really hope you enjoyed my episode with Kazooieloki. And yes, I think I pronounced it right. As I said at the beginning of the episode, they really do know their stuff and gave such an honest and open account of their take on wedding photography. I can speak from first-hand experience. They are incredibly talented photographers, and anyone that manages to secure Richard and Christine to shoot their special day is in for a real treat. As Richard mentioned, you can find them on Instagram at Kazooieloki_photography or on Facebook, or head to their website www.kazooieloki.co.uk. It will just be my voice that you will hear from now on, but please don't worry, I still have a whole host of amazing guests lined up to interview and a huge backlog of stunning wedding photographs to blog and share with you. So please do head over to my Instagram page at the.weddingcircle, find us on Facebook, or head to our website www.theweddingcircle.co.uk. And as always, your listens, your shares, comments and reviews mean that every episode reaches more and more people, so please, if you haven't already, do take a moment to review the podcast on whichever platform you are listening. I'll be so grateful, and it means that I can continue to bring you these fabulous conversations. Thanks again, and see you next time.